So we're back with another bug hunt. We had finished sort of the introduction and first scenario last time. So we're into part 2. What's going on? Remaining survivors of the onslaught at Greta Base have barricaded themselves inside Heron terraforming station. To make matters worse, the entire station is under siege by roaming carcinoids. Tensions are high along the remaining colonists. The group has splintered into factions with 3 competing goals: immediate evacuation, researching the carcinoids for weakness, or rescuing a squad of missing Marines. Just a second. For some reason, I wanted to make sure. I don't know. I guess it's just not doing it. That's strange. Heron terraforming station. A riverbank clearing in the middle of a dense jungle. The terraforming station sits against a fast-flowing river, which threatens to flood. Several carcinoids patrol the jungle nearby. If the players are attacked, make a commotion. Sergeant Valdez and some Marines ride out, blasting Ride of the Valkyries from a boombox. They distract the carcinoids from a distance, pick up the players as quickly as possible, and bring them to the hangar where the rest of the colonists are waiting. Play up the rescue. Yeah, okay. And then it's saying if you're playing as a one-shot, just pick one of the mission. So this looks like by far the most complicated map that we've seen. Lots of interconnecting paths and parts. So what's going on? Once the players arrive at the hangar, Sergeant Valdez, Dr. Edom, and HM3 Brookman, the leaders of the representative groups, approach and ask for help. Team lead Brookman and the rest want to take back the tower and immediately call in for evac. Study group, Dr. Edom's group, wants to retrieve valuable research from the lab in hopes of finding the carcinoid's weakness. Hog Squad, Valdez's loyal Marines, want to rescue a missing Marine squad and prepare the reactor for the storm. It's just saying to play the tension of players take too long deliberating. Players may choose to split up or tackle the missions one at a time, let them follow on their instincts. Each mission, however, has its own risks and rewards. After each one, the situation changes. After the first mission, the reactor shuts down, plunging the station into total darkness. The tower luckily has its own power source. Also, one of the groups, your choice, decided to attempt the mission without the player's help and failed. Whichever mission the group attempted now has more carcinoid attention, and few, if any, of the group remain alive. After the second mission, the floodwaters rise as the carcinoids invade. This doesn't mean that the players can't attempt a third mission or that they can't backtrack or even explore. Maybe they even found the mothership. It just means that regardless of what they choose, the situation is about to get much worse. Team leave, Agent 3 Brookman, the platoon medic, has completely lost all hope in the mission and thinks they're all doomed. His plan to escape will echo what a lot of players innately feel is the right choice. So counter that by playing him like a coward who is afraid of his own shadow. This gives the players a chance to step up and lead. What he wants: drive the remaining ATVs across the dam, retake the tower, call in the drop shaft for evac. Brookman has the only key card to the control room. Brookman has scouted the area and knows there are already a few carcinoids on the dam already. Believes the longer the colonists wait, the harder it will be to take the tower. Just a couple of related NPCs and advice on how to play them. The study group: Dr. Edom, noted xenobiologist obsessed with recovering their research, clearly hiding something. Was in love with Olsen and grieves his death. What they want: to recover the research from the lab, to see if the carcinoids have an exploitable weakness. If the crew is reluctant, Edom can't return without the research or they'll be blacklisted. The family is being held in a corporate debtor's prison until Edom's contract is up. The lab can be accessed through the elevator in the hangar or the stairs. Please, if this is done first, other missions will be much easier. Hog Squad: Sergeant Valdez, tech officer, felt promoted to command when the others were slain, over her head and overcompensating with threats of violence. What she wants: recently sent the remnants of Siege Squad, Brookman's former squad, along with Hinton and Dr. Jensen, to the reactor to manually prepare it for the oncoming storm. The squad has been missing for hours. Their locators have gone dark. Wants to assault the reactor, rescue the Marines, and finish preparing the reactor before the power shuts off. Believes that the storm will cause a flood strong enough to shut down the reactor, leaving the colonists without power in event of an assault. The tower. So this looks like a slightly different ATV than was seen in the ship guide. Slightly more armor and with some weapons. Brookman's plan. If the players decide to take Brookman's mission, he proposes the following. Brookman and Ivanovic take one ATV and go with the crew. Tanaka and Kawaguchi stay behind. Kawaguchi teaches a player how to manually reboot the orbital relay and reset the control room, both of which are necessary for the tower to communicate. Brookman has only one key card to get into the control room, but gives it to any player who asks. Hangar. Everyone listed is barricaded in here. The colonists are anxious, tired, and combative, looking for hope. Sandbag barricades and a small stockpile of weapons. Won't stop the carcinoids, but does give the colonists clear firing angles on all entrances and exits. 3 all-terrain vehicles. One is broken. Repair takes 1d5 hours. Speed check to do it in 1 hour, but if failed, requires 1d10 additional hours of work. I was just saying to make sure your players are aware of the consequences for trying to do it quickly. An elevator down to the lab. a few barrels of gasoline, and a small gasoline-powered generator, enough to power some lab equipment, computer terminals, etc. for 24 hours. So that's number one there. So we're looking at a 10-meter wide wall, 60-meter drop on one side, and a nearly overflowing lake on the other. The rain pours in sheets. The only light comes from the ATV's headlights. ATVs can cross in 2 minutes, humans in 7 minutes. A single carcinid is visible on the wall. As the ATVs drive out, more carcinids emerge from the nearby lake. 1 or 2 carcinids emerge from the water every couple of minutes. Tell the players directly or have Brookman tell them that if this keeps up, they could wind up trapped at the tower with no way back. The carcinids attack any ATV that gets near. They are strong enough to knock one over. If they do, driver makes a body save to avoid crashing. If the vehicle crashes, all passengers must body save at disadvantage or take a blunt force wound. Saying Brookman and Ivanovic ride first, and if encountering a carcinid, they'll be taken down by the first one, and they'll focus on killing Brookman. Above the wall, via a ladder, a catwalk runs the length of the dam. A 15-minute hike, wide enough for 2 people or 1 carcinid. The railings provide enough cover to sneak across if careful. Light or noise attracts a carcinid in a couple of minutes. Say, don't let them know that they can sneak across, just that it is an additional option. So 3, the lift. So at the other end of the dam. The lift sits right inside the tower's giant metal girders. At the top is the orbital relay. The lift is broken. To repair, it's in 1d5 rounds. 2 cage ladders go up the side. Any disruptive movement need to make a body save or fall. Carcinids can climb the sides easily. A small maintenance closet is locked. However, it's weakly protected and has a small backup generator and assorted tools. 4, the control room. The elevator and ladders lead to a squat industrial control room locked from the inside. Brookman has the key card. Catwalk surrounds the exterior, small ladder to orbital relay. Inside the control room is the source of the signal. There's a carcinid sprawled across the room. Fear save at disadvantage. But it's helpless. There's a first aid kit and bandages, stim packs, flashlight, and an inflatable raft in a locker. and it's just reminding you you're on a timer. If assuming that you did not sneak in, I believe. So if the carcinid is removed from the controls, it takes one round. The signal stops broadcasting. Carcinids become disoriented and confused. They attack only in self-defense, and their assault on the tower ceases. Over the next several minutes, they retreat to the dam wall, cross it, and disappear down the chimney into the bowels of the terraformer, heading to the tunnels which lead directly to the mothership. Control of the comms only return when both the orbital relay and the room are manually reset. Once both are functioning, the dropship can be called in. Just a reminder, I think that's the standard one. The orbital relay is the giant satellite dish on the top of the tower. Heavy rains, the roof is slippery. Guardrails run along the side. Perched up, Sergeant Underhill firing a Wilbur Mark II anti-material rifle, sniping carcinids as they crest the guardrails. Adjacent is his synthetic bloodhound Marlowe, who can smell those affected by the shriek. Marlowe has 12 shots left, but can kill one carcinids per round. Underhill is infected, stage 3. Marlowe bites him whenever he becomes possessed. Underhill's orders: get off this rock. Manually reset the array takes a round. Once reset, comms return if the control room has been disconnected from the carcinid inside it. So what happens next? If the players have chosen Team Leave option, this may be the penultimate scenario. Reach scenario 4 for the obstacles now facing their evacuation. Sergeant Valdez listens to Sergeant Underhill's final orders, but wants to rescue the lost Marines. She does this on her own, though she will fail without assistance. If there's no power, the players must find a way to restore power to the tower, perhaps with a generator in the lift, otherwise they have to wait for the dropship. We'll see, it might be a little bit close, but I think we have enough time to get through this second part. So this is the lab. This is Dr. Edam's plan. If the players decide to take Dr. Edam's mission, he reveals the following. Dr. Edam and Dr. Ziegler were trying to analyze the carcinid's DNA sequence. With assistance from Hinton, Dr. Ziegler has already made an attempt to retrieve the data, but is now presumed dead. Sergeant Valdez forbade the colonists from leaving the hangar after this incident. The plan is to take the elevator down to the lab level, use Dr. Edam's credentials to get into the clean room, grab the portable terminal, and get out. What Dr. Edam doesn't mention, the company only cares about retrieving the DNA. The colonists' lives do not matter. And as mentioned before, Dr. Edam's family is being held hostage. 6. The lab. Geoanalysis, chemical labs, and environmental systems. Quiet, abandoned. So, down a ways below. Work left unfinished if searched. Research on doxorubicin. With a scientist pharmacology background, you can know that it's a historical chemotherapy medication. Hydro reactor starts. Cooling system overloaded. Manually engage flood controls to prevent shutdown. Heavily industrial contamination airlock to the clean room, which is locked. Dr. Edom's card no longer works. Hinton has changed the codes. The players attempt to break in, fail to pick the lock. Loud alarms attracted carcinid from the tumblers in 5 minutes. If there's no power, which I believe is if you pick this mission second, the lab is pitch black. All the doors are automatically locked and shut. Strength check to open, tools required. Dr. Edom stresses that they only have 2 hours to get important samples from the cryo vault. This is a lie. Then the tip below is just like to make sure Dr. Edom is kind of acting a little bit sus. The clean room, 7. Split by a glass partition into an observation area and small lab. Ziegler is in the lab behind the glass performing some unseen experiment. He is infected stage 5. It takes a minute to get his attention. He turns and speaks in a creepy voice. Leave me here. Transforms into a carcinid in 1d5 minutes. Lab table. Vials of hydrofluoric acid, Dr. Edom's portable computer terminal, and chemical synthesis equipment. At the back of the lab, locked door to the cryo vault. Only Dr. Edom has the key card. Dr. Edom uses any excuse to get into the cryo vault, even risking harm. They claim they just need to grab some samples and no one should follow because it could contaminate the vault. Then the Ziegler carcinid looks like it is slightly different stats from a normal one, and there's also a note that it is holding its own, the vehicle for its own demise. So the cryo vault, 8 in the top left there. 6 large glass cylinders, each holds a developing carcinid larva. One looks like a carcinid human hybrid. One of the cylinders is broken. Trail of fluid leads to a vent which has been forced open, which leads to the tumblers. Hybrid has already escaped, but pretend like it could appear at any moment and jump scuttling sounds in the vents. A data stick Dr. Edom pockets immediately. The players confront Dr. Edom. He'll reveal that, the company just cares about getting the DNA and gives you a speech that you've probably heard in a notable movie franchise. Saying, to make sure you're playing him as defensive and that he, downplays his role in everything that happened here. So the tumblers is the mechanical room, 9. Roaring so loud it's impossible to hear a scream. Stack of terraform algae canisters. Behind the stack is a ventilation system, leads to the cryo vault. Utilities ladder to the walkway above the tumblers where the controls are. 10, the walkway is a catwalk. Controls requires Dr. Edom's key card, forces all doors open or close. there's a decontamination sequence. You need to make a body save or I'll bind it for 1 round. Security system, live camera feed of the clean room, and you can turn on or off the alarms. The hatch leads to the stairs. What happens next? It takes Dr. Edom 1d5 hours to analyze the research. Once finished, they invent a special ammunition coating which can pierce the carcinid armor. Anyone with access to the chemical synthesis equipment in the clean room can code 2d10 weapon shots per hour. This, however, requires power. We'll go ahead and stop here, and we'll pick up next time with 2C, the tower. No, we'll try and do this now. I think I do have enough time. So Sergeant Valdez's plan. If the players decide to take on Sergeant Valdez's mission, she reveals the following. Gauge the station's upriver pumping system to avoid shutdown. Automated safety shutdown is imminent due to the excessive flooding, and only manual intervention can stop it. Rescue Dr. Jensen and missing members. Infiltrate the lower levels. Valdez provides pulse rifles, hazard suits, and headlamps. So 11, 16-meter drop into sheer darkness. 4 people can rappel down at a time on 2 ropes. On the way down, there's occasional large forms attached to the walls, carcinid cocoons. Loud noise or panic, a newborn carcinid hatches. Radiation ticks up to level 2, halfway down to the spillways. Past this point are dozens of cocoons. At the bottom, an industrial airlock door to the hydroreactor. Radiation ticks up to 3, which is lethal without protection. Use a chimney as a warning of what could happen. Nothing actually needs to happen. If the signal is down, the carcinids only attack if fired upon and attempt to escape via tunnels back to the mothership, especially any which hatch in the chimney. So it looks like for the newborn carcinid, they don't have the hard shell, and they get disadvantage on all actions. The turn it emerges. So if you're choosing to have done this mission last, this is much more dangerous. At a carcinid swimming in the waters of the spillways, the stairs are now halfway flooded. It's a 40-second swim to the bottom, and PFC Weaver in the hydro reactor now transforms into a carcinid whenever it is least convenient. In the spillways, large tunnel filled with roaring water. Alicia? So that was what we were talking about in the previous page. Flanked by narrow walkways leading to maintenance tunnels and drains, anyone falling in the water is sucked under and drowns. Radiation level 2. In a drainage tunnel on the other side of the rushing water, a body is stuck in a grate. The body is mangled and disfigured. It is Private First Class Glockner, carrying a rocket launcher with a single missile, "Some Pig," scrawled on the side. At the end is a rusted red door. The stairs, 13. Dark, claustrophobic, industrial maintenance stairwell. Still acute. Heading up to walkway 10, Carson climbs down. Fear save at disadvantage. Heading down. After half a story, the stairs descend into black, rising water. At the bottom, after a 20-second swim, there is a jammed hatch which leads to the reactor. Radiation threatens to make the bad situation worse. Remind the players that if their hazard suits break, they'll suffer constant radiation damage. 14. The Hydro Reactor, a gigantic industrial complex now nearly flooded. Lethal radiation. Each round, a 10% chance a carcinid arrives. If entering from the stairs, the complex is flooded. It's a 20-second swim to the surface. Underwater, a large organic gash. If opened, it leads to the tunnels. If entering from the chimney, hatch opens onto a catwalk. The flooded water laps at the metal grating, which leads to the turbine. At the center of the complex, a gigantic turbine peeking through the water's surface. Huddle at the top, Franco and Weaver. They are terrified and panicky. The hydro reactor controls are destroyed beyond repair. What happened to Siege Squad? As soon as he can, Franco reveals the water infested with carcinogens. He has 6 shots left. It was Hinton. Hinton killed Glockner immediately before sabotaging the controls. Reactor shuts down within the hour. There's no way to stop it. Hinton escaped. Before the floodwaters rose, Franco saw Hinton take Dr. Jensen into the tunnels. Kadir is still MIA. Weaver needs help. He's stage 1 infected. And, it's just saying, don't deliver it like that, make it a dialogue. 15, tunnels. Underwater, a large organic gash on the side of the complex leads to a tunnel with smooth board walls. Upon entering, water floods into the tunnel, but organic tissue quickly seals itself shut again. Radiation slowly recedes to 0. The tunnel continues for several miles until it reaches a drainage tunnel inside the Carson mothership. What happens next? Rescuing Marines opens a new lead, the mothership, which the players might want to explore. However, the power is now out across the station. Carsons creep in from every corner, and the thunder rolls. And then the note on the left side is saying that the real reward here is Hinton's betrayal. That's sort of a nasty scenario. But it does lead you to sort of and I guess you kind of have to do it, but it's like, so to have to feel bad, because this is by far like the most dangerous one, it seems, and you really don't get anything for it. Which, that's good considering kind of the theming, what we're going for here. But, we'll go through probably the last 2 scenarios. Not next time, but the next time we do Mothership. I'm not sure what I'm doing tomorrow. Maybe more Dominaria, maybe an opening. We'll see.